Welcome back to Mad Dog TV. We're going to have a quick episode, a quick primer for the CrossFit Games Open 13.1. You can read all this stuff on the internet as far as like what it is, but what we're going to do is 40 burpees, 30 ground to overhead, 30 more burpees, 30 grounds to overhead, 20 burpees, 30 more ground to overhead at the weights are here, 75 pounds, 135, 165, then finally 10 burpees, and then 30 more ground to overhead at this. Now it's AMRAP, and obviously at some point you're not going to be able to do some of these snatches, so here's a strategy for the game. Now what we were talking about in the CrossFit Games, what we were talking about is that don't take this as a test of your performance, but rather as a window into your athletic maturity and where you are at this moment. Right? We firmly believe that doing some sort of competition or having an event that you need to train for is definitely part of the way that you prepare and the way that you grow as an athlete. So we've got this risk-reward continuum, and over here safety, over here performance. We like to operate in here. As we get more and more mature as an athlete, or more and more balanced as an athlete, we're going to move over, and this is where we're going to operate as we get more and more mature as an athlete, better movement, better skills, etc. So the main thing about doing an event like this is to really kind of come to grips with why you're here. And Gwen, one of our athletes here, wrote a great post on on preparing for a 5K that we did a couple years ago. And that's the main thing, is that go into this event and say, why are you doing this event? Are you doing it for just to see, maybe you just have never done anything like this, you want to check it out? Go into it understanding where you are, and then it will be much easier for you to make some guidelines and some strategies on how to get through this event. When I first saw this workout listed, it made my back hurt just looking at the workout. So what we're going to do here is going to go through the high risk parts of this workout. We want you to have fun. We don't want you to get hurt. There's a couple of areas in this workout that are really super hard on your back. And so let's go over those super quickly. With the burpees, when you're moving from vertical down to horizontal and then back to vertical, when you start moving in this way, you touch the ground, there's a lot of tension right here in your lower back. When you kick your legs back like this, that can really hurt your back. So, and especially as you're pushing up, and if you're maybe loose in your back and your hips are kind of left behind on the back, hyperextending, you could possibly get some pain here. Now, I know that Carl Paoli is a big fan of this sort of a kipping sort of a burpee where you're going to be in a hyperextended position, right, like this, and then you're going to come up like that, and then back here. I think that's a great position if you've trained for that position and you have the years that he has being extended and being in a flex position and being strong in those positions. If you haven't, I think it's a good idea just to do them the standard way, where you're going to come down. The way that we normally teach them is right before you touch the ground, kick your legs out so that you don't have your hands and your feet touching the ground at the same time. I think overall it's going to be much safer, easier to just keep tight here and tighten through your hips so that your back is safe. By all means, if you feel like you can do that, then go ahead and do that. Here's one thing that I'm going to say is how can you test to say like, hey, am I ready or not? What you can do is you can do a headstand, and if you can do a headstand, lift your legs up off the ground. Right, so if you can do a headstand, get into this position, lift your legs into a handstand like that. Yeah, maybe you're ready to do that. If you can control your back with that amount of load, and that amount of just sort of coordination and strength in your back, go ahead. ground to overhead, or ground to overhead. When you pull that thing off the ground, the barbell off the ground, you need to be able to make sure that your butt is back, your back is straight and upright, and then you're going to pull that bar up with your legs, right? So we don't want to be in a position where we're coming over here like this in a snatch and then start pulling up that way. That's not, it's going to be super hard on your back. The second thing, ground to overhead. The overhead position, one thing that people aren't quite aware of is when they come up over their head like this, when they come up and fully extend with their glutes, you're resting your back for just a quick second. Right? So take time to, when you do your step, bring it over your head, lock out, and then bring it down. So the final thing is that there are a couple of things here, strategies. Breathing, when you're doing these movements, you want to be able to talk a little bit. You know, you don't want to go into that cave where it's hard for you to see. And I know that some of you have done some athletic events where you get in, like Fran or Helen or a hard 5K, something like that, where you can't really tell what's going on. We don't want to go there for these burpees. You want to just kind of steady movement through these burpees. So we're going to go through that here in just a second. And then finally, partition. How do we partition? So what I would say is take a watch and come over here. We're going to do a few burpees. We're going to do a few snatches. Then we're going to try to talk through it, see if that talking thing works. All right. So first we're going to do is do a little sprint, not a sprint, but a little test of burpees for just 10. We're going to get a time, we're going to double that, and then that's going to be our goal for the whole workout. Here we go. Okay, so that's 10 in about 30 seconds. So for me, my plan is about a minute. For 10 burpees, I'm going to rest. However much time I have left in those, probably 20 seconds, and then start over again. So I'm going to get my burpees done 4 minutes. That's a lot. But I know I'm only going to get one of these, so it's going to work out. If you can get more of the 60 kilo snatches, maybe you want to do your burpees a little bit more. Okay, so here we go. Snatches coming up. So 40 seconds. So I'll probably take like a minute, maybe even a minute and a half. You'll notice on those snatches I was doing a regular power snatch, even though I could go up and do a muscle snatch. But the problem is that by the time I get to those ground to overheads with the 60 kilos, my motor memory is not going to be thinking underneath. My motor memory is going to be thinking up here, and there's no way that's going to happen. So let's see what we got. Partitioning. 4:40 on the minute, or 10 on the minute. So that's 4 minutes. Ground to overhead, 40 seconds. Let's double that. make it 80, let's say 90. So that was 10, so 30. Let's call that 5 minutes, or 9 minutes total. 30 burpees, let's do them on the 10 again. So that's 3. Now we're up to 12 minutes. Ground to overhead. Now I have 5 minutes. And I don't know how many that is. So that's my goal, is to get 101 points. I got a little strategy around it. There's got a lot of buffer to it. I can always go faster if I need to. It's really hard to get your act together, keep your focus, if you've overestimated the speed. And now I'm saying, at 4 minutes, and I've only got 30 burpees. Then it's hard to keep focus to the rest of the workout. You can always go faster. Take your time. Be realistic. Come in here on Thursday, or definitely come in early on the workout. Do a couple of these little time trials to get a good idea about what you can do. And it'll make it much easier to have a coach or to just set your own watch and do the time. So thanks for listening to Mad Dog TV. We will see you at the games, hopefully. At the CrossFit Open Games this Saturday, starting at 9 a.m. Be there early to warm up. Get your burpees set up correctly, everything getting going, and then we'll have a little party after that. All right, thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you soon.